Welcome to the Lending Room, our newest podcast channel designed for account executives and business leaders. We dive deep into partnerships, performance metrics, and the evolving lender landscape. My name is Courtney, and I am the content marketing specialist. And with us today is a very special guest on our very first podcast episode. This is Mike Lee, our CEO of Emporium TPO. As we open the door to real conversation about lending and the people behind it, we are excited to be joined by Mike with over 20 years of mortgage industry experience. Mike has led Emporium TPO to record-breaking growth and innovation. How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm good, Courtney. Thanks.
Good. Mike, can you kind of tell everybody how you kind of got into the mortgage lending world?
Well, that's a long story, but I'll be brief. I came in about 25 years ago as an account executive.
Okay.
Brand new to the business, but probably looking back, probably the best way to kind of cut my teeth in learning about the business, baptism by fire.
Yeah.
Right, and since then, I've stayed in it, believe it or not.
And we are so glad that you did. So today we're really diving deep into Emporium TPO, how it came about, and the goals and mindset that kind of keep us moving, and much more. So with that being said, what are all the different pieces that were put into place, as well as what does built on service mean to you?
Well, yeah, there are a lot of different pieces, but I think they're broken down to very simple components. People talk about service, price, product, and so forth. When I think about service, I really think about what the value proposition is, right? Because we're a services organization. And so what is it that we need to do as an organization in order to, as a newer entrant to the market, how do we get that initial loan or that initial business? But most importantly, how do we keep it?
Yeah.
How do we grow it? And we've been fortunate enough to be able to do that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very grateful for that. We kind of wanted to pull and kind of go back and forth on the built-in service and the service aspect of that, right? So what is unique to you when it comes to this company, and how does that make Emporium TPO's value different than most?
I think it's a couple things. First of all, I can't take credit for launching Emporium or starting Emporium, but I was fortunate enough also to come in an organization where there's some great people. At the end of the day, great people. I've had this debate over the years with different people, and that is it process or is it people? Like chicken and egg. To me, it's people first, no matter what.
Absolutely.
Right? So people, if you have the right people, and you have the people that have the expertise and know what they're doing, then you can build a process. Until then, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how you get processes based on the people that are putting it together.
And we do have such an amazing team here.
We do.
So that's a great insight to have. And so that kind of leads me into my next point. We have a lot of people, we have a lot of value, we have a lot of service. And with the market constantly shifting, we modify and conform to it. And what are the biggest challenges and opportunities in the market right now? And how does Emporium TPO hold up when it comes to that?
That's a great question. I would say that, being in the business for quite some time, the ups and downs, cyclical, rates go up and down. Everybody's been waiting with bated breath for rates to come back down. But I guess as an organization, the way we look at it is our jobs don't change, right? So whether you're an AE, whether you're in operations, your job's still the same. Mm-hmm. There may be less to get, right? But outside of that, we don't control the market. So we just focus on what we do.
Keep pushing, right?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, I like that. Always pushing for the best and the better and how we can do better. I like that. So the loan process, let's kind of talk about that. We really emphasize the seamlessness and the structure of a loan process, as well as the communication through each step. And what would you tell brokers, account executives listening today about what our loan process is like and why Emporium TPO prides itself on maintaining that communication throughout?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question as well. the process itself isn't a process without one thing, and that's, do you know loans, right? So, especially in the business purpose world, the SCR, which has really come to the forefront because of rates. So there are a lot of our customers, including people at Emporium, where that's newer, right? So to be effective in anything, you've got to know what we do. You need to know the product, and that's part of the value.
Yeah.
Right. We may not be the best price, we may not be the fastest, but the value is we understand and we know what it is that we do.
Yeah.
Right. And so the real value is making sure that even our partners, our customers, know that as well. Right. So, our AEs, folks in underwriting, operations, closing, you name it, their job is to add that value, right? That creates that partnership, consistency. I think the biggest challenge right now is not a lot of people are, subject matter experts in these types of loans.
Right.
Right. But those that are, we have quite a few here. We just got to make sure everybody, including our customers and our partners, also know. So that's where we spend most of our time.
Yeah.
And communication, well, you can't do that without good communication. So.
Exactly. The 4 C's, right?
Yep.
We love good communication here. And we do offer an array of products and programs, like you just discussed, for multiple borrower types. And you mentioned DSCR just now. I mean, with that being said, we also have full doc, alt doc, and we have 2 amazing product lines that we're working with right now. So can you kind of expand to our listeners today about what our products and programs kind of look like?
I would say for the space, pretty mainstream. There isn't anything outside of specialty products. The key is that we know the products, like I said, right? So there's actually a lot more, especially for those that may be newer to the business purpose DSCR world, for example, or even alt-doc. There's a lot more once they know. Yeah, then now you can really get the business going if you really understand and know, right? Because as far as products and so forth, they vary really more on the soft guideline side, and they're products we don't offer, at least not at this point, because I'd like to get really good at what we do right before we start thinking about doing all these other things, right?
Yeah, better to perfect what we have than to rush it. I agree with that statement as well. And we have, touched on kind of those serious notes of communication and having value.
The 4 C's.
Some of the 4 C's. And those serious notes, but let's talk about some personal matters, some wisdom from the Mike Lee. What does home mean to you?
Well, within the context of employment, for example, the great thing about, at least, especially a growing company, it's like having a family, except you get to pick your family, right? I mean, no offense, but my youngest brother, sometimes why is he in the fake? Well, I don't have a choice.
Sorry, Mike's younger brother.
I'm just kidding. But that's home to me.
Yeah.
And whether we're colleagues, we also have customers. They have customers. The value to me is understanding that every step of the way, because anytime you want to do anything, whether it be another business, whether it be with a customer and so forth, one rule before you even start doing business or hire anybody is that both come into the partnership in good faith. Okay. Right? So that means there's a clear understanding and expectations on both sides. So again, to me, that's pretty straightforward.
I like that. And, we just talked about that partnership, that connect, coming in with good faith. And I feel like that kind of just led into my next question. What brokers and loan officers can kind of expect from us. And I kind of want you to expand a little bit more on that partnership as well.
Well, as a newer company, when I joined, very new company, one most difficult thing to do, especially in a tough market, is to get that first loan,
Yeah.
get that customer to sign up, and so forth. That if everybody could solve for that, right, consistently, yeah, there'd be a lot more people in the market, a lot more companies, and there are a lot of companies in the market already. Most that may come and go, others that have been around. Um, the expectation is you have to be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, right? So something that we talk a lot about at Emporium is empathy, right? Because how can you provide value or service to someone or an organization when you don't know where they are, right? And so, choosing wisely, and that goes both ways, right? We may not be the best fit for everybody and vice versa. But if you don't even know how to recognize that, yeah, then it could be a little chaotic. So communication, you mentioned the 4 C's. Competence, not to be confused with intelligence. I'm just talking about competence in general,
Yeah.
about the loans we do, how we do them, why we do them, the why, right? That's what we're always talking about. The most important question is the why. Because if you're competent, then you're confident. If you're confident, you can communicate, right? That's how you get connection,
Yeah.
right? Because connectivity with your customers, as well as within the organization, that's the most important thing. Because in order to really be connected, that means you've already bypassed the competence. You know what you're doing, you're confident, and you communicate.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, but
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's tough.
absolutely. It is, and it's very tough. But if, like you just said, if you're able to get to that connection point, you've already kind of done the hard work.
Exactly.
You're already there.
Yep.
And with anybody who's listening today, we really do strive ourselves in that and making sure that there is that constant communication and competency throughout the process.
Yep.
And that kind of circles back to the loan process, and we're going through that entire process, showing you that we are competent, showing you that we can communicate, showing you that we can be confident in what we're saying and what we are doing by knowing everything that we do.
Exactly.
So I do like that. If you could say Emporium TPO has a strength or a quality that maybe others probably don't possess or they don't have, and then we stick out above the rest, what would you say it would be and why?
That's a great question. Also very simple to me. It's people, right? That first of all, nobody can say they're like Emporium because there's only one of everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, it's in the people. If you know the people, they know you, then you know what you're working with, right? That's the most important thing. And we just have a knack, which is not only necessary, but has continued to kind of be ingrained in Emporium as we bring on additional people. I mean, again, I always talk about sustainable, then scalable, right? So you have to be able to sustain where you are before you can even think about going to the next level, right? Either way, it's challenging. So the knack, I think, at Emporium is push. We're always pushing, right? Because if you're not pushing, especially in this type of market, especially with the kind of competition that's out there, just a couple of years ago, we lost 2/3 of all originations in the U.S. That's a big deal. So there's less. There's also more of a focus in products and areas that most may not have dealt with before or have experience in. But like I said, our job's still the same.
Yeah.
Right. But our job's still the same.
I like that. And that's a great way to kind of encompass everything, as well as just it being in the people.
Yep.
And I like that.
Oh, yeah. The only way I know how any business is doing, we got reports. You can run analytics. You can do all of that. But really, if you really want to know how the business is doing, talk to the people that do it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the only way I really know how to understand how the business is doing, especially, when I first joined a business or when you're launching a business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't see how you could do it any other way.
I mean, they're the building blocks of what you have.
Exactly.
So if they're not stable and they're not sturdy, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. What do most people misunderstand or misinterpret about lending itself? And what are specifics that maybe the community needs to understand about lending?
Well, first, I think what drives, unfortunately, and fortunately, what really drives a lot of people into mortgage lending and in mortgage lending is financial, right? Um, so that tends to drive, and a lot of that it's actually good,
Yeah.
right? But then much of the time, whether you're doing a loan, as a lender like Emporium, or you're selling a loan, right, to an investor like Emporium, like we do, it's really important that everybody, the mindset's still the same, right? We push, but there's usually a very clear line between whether we should do something or whether we shouldn't.
Yeah.
And the only way for folks to really understand it is to know what they're doing. Again, it comes back to really understanding what we do, why we do it, how we do it. So that's something that I think a lot of people miss because of the hustle and bustle, right? Just trying to get business, just trying to get it closed, trying to get it sold. Because I don't believe there's a company out there that isn't always thinking about the employees, their families, the mouths that they have to feed, because anybody that has any tenure in this business, they've been through it.
Yeah.
Right? They've been through it. But as long as we just focus on what we can, and that is, again, our job's still the same, it just makes it that much more powerful if you get people together that had that same mindset.
I like that. And that's a great way to put that, is having the same mindset, and the who's, the what's, the when's, the where's, the why's, the 5 W's. That's, I feel like, the biggest misinterpretation to me of people coming in thinking it's just the money. It's just this. But who are the faces behind it? Who are the ones driving that entire process? Who are the ones educating you along the way?
Yep.
And I feel like that's the huge misunderstanding for me.
Yeah. And I think much more misunderstanding in our business versus the end user, right? The borrower, the consumer, what have you, is there's always a solution.
Yeah.
Right? Always. There's always a solution. And it's much easier to come to that solution when you communicate, when you bring everybody together, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it may not be an ideal solution for us financially, or it may not be an ideal solution for a customer or what have you, but that's why we have to go through it, because, I mean, we're a services organization. We're here for a reason. And rarely, at least I've never experienced a business decision where it was the end of the world, right? And the challenge is, I think that's really important for any organization to make sure that their work family, they understand that the support's there, right? Because my job is to support the company, right? Whether it's being in loans, whether it's dealing with customers. I mean, we all do the same thing in this organization, right? Regardless of your function, right? So I think that's really important. Also part of the value that Emporium brings.
So can I call you at 3 a.m. just to have a conversation?
Haven't you?
Yeah, I probably have.
No,
at this point.
Well, when you're constantly pushing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I have.
It's that open line of communication.
Yeah, I have 3 different people that are supposed to remind me what day it is, right?
Oh, you don't know?
Today?
Today?
I'm sure I will.
It's a Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we kind of touched on who and what Emporium TPO is. And with the launch of our new podcast, which we are blessed to have you on for the very first episode, what can listeners expect from future episodes of The Lending Room?
I would say just very straightforward, right? I mean, we are who we are. There's some great companies out there, a lot of them, right? And here at Emporium, first and foremost, competitors, if you want to call them enemies, they're outside the four walls of this company, not within, right? That's the most important thing for people to understand here. The other thing too is that we've been able to bring on some pretty amazing people, right?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, and that's what's really helped continue the push and the great growth we've had. And case in point, like I said, it's about the people. I mean, we have 15 account executives, right? When I started over here over 2 years ago, we had, I think, 14, right? But they know what they're doing. They know what we do, why we do, how we do it, when we do it, right? And as long as we can continue throughout the organization as we grow to make sure everybody, rises, new employees, everybody's pulling everybody up. And most importantly, it's about what we do, why we do, how, it's just a recurring theme, because once you can solve for that, then there's less of a concern, quite frankly, about competitors just getting better at what we do, right? That's the most important thing, right? Are we getting better as an organization, as Emporium, regardless of what other companies are doing, right? Because we don't control them either, right? We don't control their pricing. We don't control what products they offer. Focusing on that, to me, just means that, especially in tough markets, you may be maybe focusing a little too much on something that is right within the four walls of the organization that you work for.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And our listeners that are going to be tuning into this podcast, we really are going to be diving deep into that, that raw side of the four walls that you're talking about, and the things that you don't normally see, that are behind the scenes and you aren't quite sure of yet, or what's going on that maybe you've never even heard of. We are going to be diving into that so that people can kind of understand.
Yeah, we don't really have a behind the scenes, right?
But we do.
Oh, we do?
We do.
Is this behind? No, this is not behind.
No.
What's behind the scenes?
I don't know.
Oh, stay tuned, right?
Hey, stay tuned.
Okay, I got it. I get it.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for joining us today on our first episode of The Lending Room.
Thank you.
Yeah. And for kind of giving our listeners a little bit of a glimpse into Emporium TPO, what we stand for, and much more. We hope today's conversation with Mike has given you more of a clear view into what the mortgage process is, as well as who we are here at Emporium TPO. This is just the beginning. In the weeks ahead, we will be diving into conversations with account executives, loan officers, brokers, marketing, operations, underwriting, and much more, on tips to help you navigate through this lending world. If you like today's episode, make sure you subscribe and follow The Lending Room. Wherever you have a podcast that you listen to, we're going to be there. If you have topics you want us to discuss, make sure that you drop us a message on social media or send us an email at www.emporiumtpo.com. We'll get back to you on that. Tune in next time with our guest, Nic VanDuren, as he educates everybody in the mortgage industry how a new account executive navigates through a segment called the Strategic Desk. We're going to be diving into a new AE aspect and kind of what that looks like. Until next time, thank you for stepping into the lending room, and we hope we see you soon. Emporium TPO is a licensed mortgage lender in MLS number 2278548. Equal housing lender for wholesale and loan broker use only, not intended for consumers.